I'm gonna throw this little clip in at the beginning of the video. Just be prepared. In this video I am not going to be editing any strong language out, so I guess viewers beware. This is kind of just going to be like the most real version of me that you can get. And two, kind of opening part of this video, you're going to deal with me dealing with some of my emotions, kind of telling the hard part of my story. So no regrets. I just try to keep it real, man. This journey that I've been on hasn't always been glitter and gold. Let's get into this. Come rob me for my shit. Well, I don't know. I just saw that. I thought I'd pull in real quick and check it out. And my initials are up there. We're heading up to Big Bear right now. We are going to start this this video about me getting sober. Today is the day, my 3-year mark. I don't know. I forget a lot of stuff, but I think this day will, or that day, I should say, will live clearly in my head forever. So as we start to go up in the mountain, I will start getting into it. Might be a little bit of a roller coaster of emotion for me. Just I don't know. We'll see how it all ties together. I had a storyline all typed out on my phone and like an order I was going to follow and things like that, but I don't even think I'm going to do that much. I think it'll be a little better if I just kind of free ball it, maybe. Shoot from the hip. Am I going the right way? Yeah, I am. I just got to get down. Alright, fun little detour, I guess. Oh, dude, how am I gonna cross this crap? Fuck it. Alright, I'm sitting here at the bottom of the mountain on the backside in Lucerne Valley. You might be able to see the Mitsubishi plant right over there. We're waiting for a pilot car because it's down to a one-way road. I didn't really know how I was going to kick this video off, but coming over here, it's been, I'm going to be honest, it's been a little rough for me just thinking about all of this. So I think I'm going to start with the hard part and then ease into a little bit more of my story, just kind of about the destruction that alcohol has caused in, you know, my life and kind of the people around me. We've lost a lot of our really close family members and friends to addiction and alcoholism, and I guess it kind of started with my grandpa in, I don't even know what year that was now, 2016 or 17. Yeah, it would have been 2016. We don't know for sure. We never did an autopsy or anything, but I suspect that my grandpa overdosed on painkillers. He was heavily addicted to them, whether he wanted to admit it or not. That was the beginning of it. God damn, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this. That one was rough for everybody. I mean, especially for my dad. The last conversation that him and my grandpa had was not a good one. And then it would have been I think March of 2017. The guy that man, I can't even begin to count how many years that guy lived with us or on our couch or around us. That would have been Glenn. Man, Glenn, he struggled with addiction for a lot of years. I mean, I don't really want to put him on blast or anything, you know, like, I'm not trying to say anything bad about anyone. It just, people struggle with things, and Glenn got his stuff cleaned up pretty well and became he became a pretty bad alcoholic. Like, I mean, to the point, you know, he'd be shaking in the morning if he didn't get his fix. Man, oh man, I miss that guy. He so I think what happened to him, he had developed diabetes because of the alcoholism, and the diabetes caused him to have a heart attack. He wanted help. He tried rehab. He just couldn't stick to those programs. He didn't like certain things about it, and he wanted so bad to be around his family, and his wife couldn't stand his drinking. He passed away in my dad's living room. That's kind of what became the beginning of the end for my dad. My dad kind of, my dad turned to alcohol. My dad struggled with addiction and drinking, and after that happened, it became I don't even know what to say about it. It was the beginning of the end. He hit a low point. His addiction took control. His drinking took control. I mean, that's really a big part of the reason why he's not here with us anymore. He was out on his bike, on a bike he had just picked up. I can guarantee he had been drinking, and it was late at night, and he got hit by my dad got hit by a drunk driver, and that was it. The backup in between, I don't know, 6 months before that, man, we lost my brother-in-law. He was the same age as me. He had been drinking, and he drove to get food, and he got in an accident. We lost him. It just this shit is evil, man. In between my brother-in-law and my dad dying is when I got sober. I don't know. I think if I stayed sober through that, I think I can make it through anything and not go back. I think part of what's so hard for me about it is just the times that I used to have with those people. I mean, of course, all partying and drinking and all that stuff together, having a good time, but I really don't think any of us had ever laughed the same way again after we lost Glenn. He was so funny. There was never a dull moment with him, and the last time I saw him, something was just so wrong. Like, he wasn't himself, and I wish that wasn't the last way that I saw him. It's got to me pretty bad a few times. I haven't really told anyone about it, because I don't know what people believe in, what they don't believe in, but I had a dream a month or two ago that I was, my age now, and I was in my childhood bedroom cleaning up, maybe painting. I don't know. I was doing something, preparing the house, and I saw somebody outside my window. It was so vivid. I opened it up, and it was him. It was Glenn. He told me he couldn't stay and talk long, but he wanted to tell me that my dad was doing good, that he was okay. Oh, it's kind of fucked me up a little bit. All that shit has sucked. And it's all, all of it, it's all revolved around, all that destruction to those people that are, that have been closest to me and meant the most to me. They're all gone because of this shit, because of drinking and drugs. And I remember, I think I had already quit drinking at that point. I think it was Father's Day weekend in June, so it would have been like a month. Yeah, it was about a month before I lost my dad. We were all standing in his kitchen having a good time, talking, living it up. My brother had just flew into town. The room got real serious, kind of silent. My dad told me that if he could figure out how to keep the mortgage up on his house, he'd go to rehab right now. And I wish I could have figured it out, man. I wish I could have, but it doesn't change anything. So enough of hearing me cry and shit. Oh fuck this, it's hard to talk about. It's a lot of motivation to keep me sober, because as I explain my story, as I have explained it before, and you know, throughout the years of me getting sober, sometimes I feel like I've played it up a little bit and made it seem a little worse than it was for me. But I think a lot of that is more in fear, not knowing, without acknowledging maybe how bad it was or it wasn't, which it wasn't good. I think my biggest fear is knowing what it was going to become. It wasn't something that was getting better. So I mean, I guess we'll get into my story about it a little bit. It started when, let's go back. I can remember having my first beer. I was 8 years old, about 8 years old, and I remember my mom was gone. I was home with my grandpa and my dad. I don't remember if my youngest brothers were there or not. Around that same time, we were dealing with my youngest brother being really sick, and we couldn't figure out why. Maybe he was at a doctor's appointment. I don't know. I really don't know. But yeah, I remember taking one of my dad and my grandpa's Budweisers. I took it into the living room and opened it up, and I remember my dad telling me that he better not, you know, I better not let my mom see that. And I don't know if he thought I was really gonna drink it or not, but I remember getting one of those like twisty, swirly straws, and I must have drank like half of that beer out of that little twisty, swirly straw before my dad came in and realized I was really drinking it, and he took it from me. That was, I don't know, I don't know why I've always remembered that moment. Like, I remember sitting in the middle of the living room floor on the carpet. And then I think about that story, I think about that memory, and I look at my daughters now who are 8 years old. The two older girls are 8 years old, coming up on 9, and I cannot even fathom the thought of that, like allowing them to do that. I don't know, times are different though too. I guess it would transition into middle school. I was on summer vacation, and I remember I would start stealing liquor out of, you know, if my parents had any liquor in the cabinets, I would steal some of that, water it down. A lot of the times I didn't have to water it down because I'd take such a small amount that they wouldn't notice anything was missing. And then my friends and I at school would steal liquor, you know, whatever we could take from our parents, and we'd go to school and share it with each other. You know, we'd go to the bathroom and drink it, and it was fun, you know. For one of my buddy's birthday parties, his parents took us all to the movies. They dropped us off at the movies, and he had stole like a full water bottle worth of vodka. We drank a soda and we poured a lot of vodka in there, and a lot of the other kids were, you know, they didn't want to drink it that much, and I remember me and him drinking a lot of that bottle, and we got pretty tore up. Watched the movie, came home. I mean, going back to, you know, kids thinking that their parents are stupid or whatever. My dad was questioning me. He's asking me, hey, you all right? Whatever. So, yeah, I'm fine. You know, went to bed, kind of covered it up. But, I mean, looking back later, I know now that he knew, you know. Flash forward to, I don't remember if it was my 13th or 14th birthday. I think 14. My dad had bought me a 6-pack on my birthday. We sat there and we watched stand-up comedy on TV. It was the first time I'd ever seen a Mitch Hedberg special, and he became one of my favorite comedians later. But yeah, I sat there and got all fucked up off a 6-pack at 14 years old, watching comedy shows or comedy TV with my dad. It was like a couple times a year, you know, he'd be okay with me drinking, like maybe, let's say, my birthday and 4th of July, like split up about every 6 months or so. And let me get it clear, let me straighten it up too. I don't blame my parents for any of it. Like, I'm not saying they're the reason why I started drinking so much. Like, not at all. I actually agree with the tactics that they had. You know, they thought if they provided a safe space for me to do it, then they would know I was gonna be okay. Especially getting into high school, going to parties and stuff. It's what kids do. You know, the only thing I really couldn't do was smoke weed at the time. That was like the biggest deal to my parents. God, I remember when they found out that I had been getting high, they were devastated. Like, I'd never seen a lot of things make my dad cry, and my dad cried when he found out that I had smoked the devil's lettuce. But that's what I'm saying. I don't blame them for anything. I kind of agree with their tactics, you know. And then going into high school, we had a few houses where, you know, we knew we could go to drink. Mine was kind of one of them. We kind of cycled through them and go to the different parties and stuff. And my parents just always made it a point to never ever drink and drive. I followed the rules, you know. I followed those rules anyway, and it was never a problem for me to just go out on the weekend. We go to a party, get drunk, have fun. Like, it was never an issue at that point. It'd be, you know, maybe once a week, every couple weeks, once a month. I don't know. It's, you know, and then it progressively becomes more and more frequent. By the time I was about 17 or 18, I was drinking a lot more throughout the week. Like, you know, we'd have beer left over from the party, and I'd drink it throughout the week, and, you know, it'd be fun and all that. And that was about the time my parents started telling me, hey man, if this doesn't slow down, this is going to be something that gets out of control in your life. And till now, you know, whatever. Dumb old parents. You don't know me. You don't know how I'm going to go about this. My parents drank a lot at that point, and it wasn't until I was in high school when my parents had got the gastric bypass surgery, and that's when it started to get bad for both of them. They got it, I don't know, maybe a year or two apart, but they would drink a little bit of alcohol, and it would put them over the edge to like frequent blackouts and things like that. That was around 2008, like right around when the recession happened. So I think that would have been like my sophomore year in high school, junior year. And it was like, I don't know, it had to have been 2 or 3 years, maybe not quite that long. Let's call it 2 years of just damn near destruction, you know, like it was pretty bad. And then it was around 2011, I turned 18, I graduated high school that year. And we were drinking all the time, man. At least a few nights a week, drinking, smoking hookah, doing all the, you know, the fun stuff of the time, just being kids, having fun. Things started to get pretty rough and pretty hostile between me and my parents. I can't even explain the reasoning for why it was like that. I mean, I don't know. I thought I had all my shit figured out. I thought I knew it all. They couldn't tell me what to do, and they couldn't, you know, I'm an adult now, and I mean, at the end of the day, I couldn't afford to move out, you know. So I hit about 19 years old. That would have been like 2012. Yeah, it would have been 2012. I turned 19. I'd had enough of it. I had I'd known my daughter's mom from when we were in middle school. We had started dating. We had an opportunity to leave the state. She had family in Utah, and I'd had enough of it. Sick of seeing my parents fight. Tired of it. And so I let them know I was going to be leaving. I finished my semester of college, which would be the last semester of community college I ever did. And we took off to Utah. Right before I was leaving, my mom said she was getting sober, because I told my mom that if she didn't quit drinking, then, you know, she was going to end up either killing herself or getting killed, or I don't know. she wouldn't have lasted if she would have kept drinking at the rate that she was going. So we left, and you know, my mom's telling me she's sober and how well she's doing and all this, you know, and I really didn't believe it. I didn't believe that she was gonna get sober. My parents had told me they were gonna quit drinking before. I think they could make it like 30, 45 days, I don't know, and they would start drinking again. So by the time I had heard that, I was like, yeah, fucking right. Like, you know, I'm not even falling for it. I think I was out there for like, I think I was out in Utah for like 3 months. My mom had stayed sober. I found out that I was having my oldest daughter. I had no work experience. I was out there working like a little shitty fast food job. My dad was telling me, hey man, if you want to come back here, he was pissed that I was having a kid at first. Like, both my family was furious, and I understand why. Like, not a good choice to knock somebody up when you're 19, right? But yeah, they told me they can get me work out here, so I came back out to California after like 3 months, and I started working for my uncle. Right, I think it was like okay, yeah, so I came back, I moved back into my parents' house, was trying to figure all my stuff out. My dad was still drinking, my mom was sober. It was not a good, healthy relationship at all. Like, it was pretty rough, and it was getting worse and worse. Right after my daughter was born, I think my daughter was maybe like a month old, my mom had figured it out. She had her money situation figured out. She left, and that was when her and my dad got divorced. My dad was kind of on a spiral for a little bit, you know, like he wasn't doing well with it. The thing is, you know, time heals, I guess. Yeah, I mean, so what I'm trying to say about that, I guess, is my mom has 10 years under her belt now. Like, I didn't think she was gonna last a month, and she's about a month away from 10 years. So that's awesome. I mean, I'm super proud of her. I think everyone is. Well, no, I guess there's a little more to that story. So by the time I was 20, me and my dad were still butting heads about things. Still butting heads pretty bad, and he told me that I needed to move out of his house. So I left. We crammed into my mom's apartment for a little bit. I ended up getting an apartment down the street from her, or like in the same complex, you know. That's where I turned 21. So kind of circle back to how I was drinking at the time. It was pretty frequent, you know, like a few days a week, 3, 4, 5 days a week. I had started working construction when I was 20, so I kind of just fit in, you know, with the crowd that I was in, you know, a bunch of blue collar guys drinking after work, drinking at the job sites and stuff like that. And then I turned 21, and I could buy my own alcohol. I didn't have to go searching for it. Not that I had to search that hard for it before, but I could buy it all. And that's when the beers with dinner every night started. Like, oh, you know, I'm not gonna get drunk every night. Yeah, I'll save the parties for the weekends, but I'm gonna start drinking beers with dinner every night, because I can. You know, I can go buy a 30-pack and have it last a month. I figured if I can make a 30-pack last for the month, then I'm doing all right, you know. And that didn't last at all. Things went just batshit with me and my daughter's mom. I caught on to a lot of stuff, opened my eyes to a lot of stuff, and after turmoil, we went our separate ways finally. God, she caused so much fucking destruction in my life. Like, oh, I don't want to blame it on her, because the way I handled the situation for myself wasn't not really ideal. I went into full party mode at that point, like all out party mode. I was probably 21, 22 years old still at that time. I had moved back in with my dad. She had gone, I don't even know where she went at that point. We were splitting custody with my daughter, and man, my dad's house was like a bachelor pad at that point. It was parties every night, the bar every weekend, like Friday, Saturday night, maybe Wednesday too, to split up the week. Like, it was all out at that point. Like, that's when it went from like having beers with dinner to, like, you know, at least buzzed every night, but, you know, getting fucked up most days of the week. get paid on Thursday, was broke by Sunday, scraping up to pay bills. You know, I wasn't paying rent or anything to my dad at that point, so I mean, I'm getting paid like $700-800 checks a week, and I'm fucking broke by Monday. Like that's how I was living. That's how I was partying. You know, I had my responsibilities handled. I wasn't late on payments, and you know, my kid had diapers and food and whatever, but I went into just all out party mode at that time. And that persisted. So then let's fast forward a little bit. I had met my wife. I was like 23 years old, so this would have been 2016. Met my wife, and we were dating for a while, and I was still drinking then. I'd slow down of course, on like going out to the bar and stuff all the time, but I mean, still always drinking, like every day of the week, from the time I got off work till the time I went to bed, drinking, partying, having a good time. Then it got to the point where, you know, like she doesn't do well when she drinks. She gets really sick when she drinks, and she wasn't even old enough to get into bars or anything at the time. So she would drive me anywhere that I wanted to go, and I knew that I had a DD. Like anywhere I wanted to go, I could get there and not worry about it. And actually, man, see, that's why I kind of should have stuck to the list. But when I was partying real hard at that time, my rule on not drinking and driving was out the window. Like, I made some of the worst decisions of my life, getting in those cars with friends, with myself, putting all them at risk, putting other people on the road at risk. Like, I am fully aware of how just moronic that was. But kind of at the same time, I'm not trying to defend myself, but at the same time, you can justify it to yourself when you're in that state of mind. Like, oh man, I'm not even fucked up. I'm fine. Like, hey, it's just a little head change. I can drive. Not realizing like how actually tore back you are. Man, look at that view. That's nice. Kind of slow. I don't have any cars behind me. I'm gonna slow down a little bit. Yeah, I mean, just super selfish decisions on driving in that condition. And I remember one time, man, me and my buddy, we went to a hockey game in Anaheim, and we stopped at a sports bar after. We had drank on the way to the hockey game, drank all night at the hockey game, went to the sports bar, drank more. I remember getting to my car, right? I had a Mazda at the time. I got in the driver's seat of the Mazda, sat down, opened up the door, and puked out of the door. And was like, oh man, I'm good to drive now. And drove from Anaheim back to San Bernardino. Like, I'm lucky I'm not dead. I'm lucky I'm not in jail because I killed someone else. I'm lucky I didn't get a DUI. Like, I am fully aware of how just dumb that was. But so I could get my wife to drive me around now, and or girlfriend at the time, you know. She would drive me anywhere I wanted to go. We'd get fucked up every weekend. Fast forward to December 2017. So this has been going on, you know, a year or two. I'm drinking. She's dealing with me drinking all the time. We bought our house in Running Springs, which we'll actually probably pass by it on our way back down the mountain. Yeah, we bought our house up there, and that's really when I kind of just became the couch potato, you know. Like, I'm in the comfort of my own home. I worked all day. I can drink when I want, you know, whatever. I'm not living with anyone anymore. I've got my own spot, my own space. I'm gonna do whatever I want. That's exactly what I did. By this point, I was drinking no less than a 30-pack a week, like throughout the week. And then when we'd go out on the weekends, I would drink, I don't know, however much then. So 3, 6, 9, 12. That's 120 beers Monday through Friday. Saturday, Sunday hit. And whatever I could consume while we were going out to make the most out of my weekend, like, that was it. I was doing it, you know. It kind of makes me sick thinking about it, you know. Like, I was heavier than I had ever been at that point. So from like 2017 to 2019 when I got sober, I hung around like probably 210. I think I might have even tipped like 220 on the scale at one time. I put up a picture of that. On the left right here is a picture of me in 2017 when I decided I wanted to start losing some weight. And this picture here is of me today, weighing in at 165 pounds, on track to being back in the best shape that I've ever been in, like actually doing something for myself. You know, I'm busy, I'm active, I feel good. It's insane what a difference it makes. So the beer caused a lot of the weight gain, like just heavy amounts of beer, you know, caused me to gain a lot of weight. Kind of like, I've kind of got the backstory laid out on my drinking. So throughout all those times, from before I met my wife to the time that we were dating and things like that, I'd hit points where I'd be really burnt out with drinking. Like, I don't want to do this anymore, you know, I want to quit. I could go like a week. I think I went a month one time, but I would never say like I'm quitting. I'm taking a break, you know, taking a break from alcohol. I'm gonna give my body a little rest. I would always go back to it, like, you know, that hard day of work, or that vibe was just right on a Friday night, you know, like, you know, what's one gonna hurt? And then, well, if I had one, I might as well have two. And if I had two, I might as well have six. If I had six, I might as well have 8 or 10. So it spirals, you know, like that's how I drink. I don't have one, you know. If I have one, I want another. And that's with anything in life. I'm all or nothing with anything that I do. So I got to the point, like, I'm fucking burnt out on drinking. Like, I'm burnt out on it. I would swear to myself, like, I am not gonna drink today. I'm not gonna drink. I'm not gonna drink. I'm not gonna drink. I would get off work, I would pass the gas station, and I would grab a tall can for the way home. Like, literally, like, drink it on the way home, you know, where I had beer waiting for me at home. So me telling myself I wasn't gonna drink would last about 9 or 10 hours for the day, and then I would have my first opportunity to grab a drink, and I would grab it. Fast forward to 2018, I was still living here in the mountains. I just got my job in Barstow, so I'm commuting like an hour and a half every one way to work. And I remember, like I said, at this point I'm burnt out. Like, I know that I'm burnt out, but I feel like I can't stop. My orientation for my new job, my first week, we have like a week of sitting in a classroom and training and learning all the rules and all that. We had a team come in. It was called Op Stop, and it's a group of people at work that have, you know, struggled with addiction and alcoholism and things like that. They came in to talk to us and just let us know what our resources are, you know. And some of them went up there and they shared their story, and I don't think I'll ever forget it. Her name was Tammy Daniels, but she was telling her story. Listening to her talk, listening to her tell her story, my ears and my cheeks were hot. Like, this lady didn't know who I was. She doesn't know my story. She doesn't know anything. But just listening to her talk, I felt like it was at me. I felt like she was talking directly to me. So this is in August of 2018. I mean, I felt like every bit of the conversation was just aimed directly at me. I felt embarrassed, and nobody even knew, you know, nobody knew anything about me, but it was embarrassing for me to think about myself while she was up there talking. And I don't think I'll ever forget that feeling. And I still went home and drank. I still went home and did that for 6 months, right? 7, actually. Oh, no, closer to 6. And then fast forward, so January 7, 2019, my wife and I had our daughter, and I'm going about my business as usual, you know, bills are paid, kids are taken care of, no reason for me to stop drinking, you know, like, everything's good at this point. I've got it under control. Burnout, but I've got it under control, right? Then at the end of January, of 2019. I want to say it was the 27th. I don't remember the exact date. I think it was January 27th. We're hanging out in bed, kind of late at night, and my wife gets a call that her brother's been in a car accident. They don't know any details. So we're kind of hanging out, waiting to hear, do we need to go down there? Do we not need to go down there? Nobody knows anything, so we decide, fuck it, let's get in the car, let's drive down there. I had already started drinking at this point. I had, you know, maybe a couple beers in me, but, you know, I'm all right to drive, right? I've done it before. And we get down there and we got the news that my brother-in-law was gone. Like, as soon as we got to the hospital, everybody was crying. We knew what happened. Like, it was a hard blow. It was a hard blow for everybody. We didn't know that he had been drinking at the time of his accident. Yeah, going forward, we started spending a lot more time with my wife's side of the family. Like, and it fucking sucked too, because I had just gotten to the point, like, where I felt like I was really kind of starting to bond, you know, like build kind of a relationship with both of my brother-in-laws. Anthony was the same age as me. He was 26, or just shy of 26 at the time. The older one, Brian, I think he was 28 at the time, 27, 28 at the time. And I mean, we were just starting to get close. So we started spending more time with the family, going down there more often. I was working the night shift at the time, so I was kind of used to staying up late. I'd get home at like 8:30 in the morning and drink until it was time for me to take a nap. Like, yeah, imagine that, 8:30 a.m. you're racing home to grab a beer. But so we started going out. We're going to my mother-in-law's house more and hanging out, having a good time. And this is where I hit my low. This is where it went bad for me, you know. So February 7th 2019, my daughter turned 1 month old that day, and they all wanted us to come by and have a fire at their house, have a little, you know, a little bonfire. And I remember my wife not really wanting to go, but I'm like, you know, fuck it, let's go. You know, my wife was dealing with her brother passing in her own way, and I really didn't respect that. You know, I felt like she should be with the family because that's how I deal with things, you know. So I really didn't respect that side of it. So anyway, I convinced her, we go down. I just had a big old fight with my neighbor. We went out, or we started drinking at their house. I brought a 30-pack. I remember it was Rolling Rock. Brought a 30-pack of Rolling Rock. We started going hard on it, and my brother-in-law and his friend hit the point where they said, hey, let's go, why don't we go out to the bar? And my wife was ready to go at this point. Like, it was late. I was already pretty drunk, and she's like, no, I just want to go home. I just want to go home. I'm like, and I guilt tripped her. I put her on the spot in front of her family, and I made her seem like the bad guy, that I couldn't go out, you know. And she's like, fine, fuck it, just go. So we went out to, I don't even remember the name of that bar, and I remember being fucked up already when I got there, and we drank so much at that bar. Like, I remember certain pieces of that night, like bits and pieces, but I blacked out that night, of course. I did that a lot. You know, trying to put those puzzle pieces together, figure out what happened. I don't know how many pitchers we ordered, pitcher after pitcher. I got my beer muscles on that night. There was a guy eyeballing me, and I wanted to, you know, I wanted to let him know I had something to say. And one of the guys from his group came to kind of break it up, and I'm not even going to get into the conversation about that guy that came to, you know, kind of settle everything down. But I talked a lot of shit to that guy too, and he didn't really deserve it. It was time to go. It's like 2 in the morning. I think we closed the bar down, and those guys were like, well, what are we gonna do with it? We had like half a pitcher left on the table there. What are we gonna do with the pitcher? And you know, they didn't want to waste the beer. I couldn't drink anymore. I was just completely hammered. So I took that pitcher and I launched it behind me. Then it was time to go at that point. Like, all right, definitely time to go. So I don't remember getting back to my mother-in-law's house. I don't remember throwing up. I puked on the curb. I don't remember getting in the car. I don't remember the 40-minute drive home to the mountains. My wife had to deal with our brand new 1-month-old baby. I don't remember if she had the other girls. I don't even remember if the other girls were there or not, but I know she had the baby. We got into, she gets me into the car, she drives me home in the snow. It was like 12 degrees up here that night. It might have even been colder than that, I don't know. I might even be able to find the ring footage. My wife might still have it. She's trying to drag my drunk ass, like I'm to the point like I can't move, you know, like I'm that drunk. She's trying to drag me out of the car. It's freezing outside. I wouldn't get out of the car. She finally gets me in, tries to get me showered because I smell like puke. It just, I mean, she's taking care of me like she's having a harder time with me than she was having with a 1-month-old. Like caring for me, making sure that, you know, I'm okay. And I remember waking up in the morning not knowing what was going on, how I got home, anything like that, and just besides being hungover, sick to my stomach about what I had just put her through. Like she's dealt with me being drunk before, right? But the look on her face was impossible for me to deal with. I could just see the resentment, you know, like she grew up with parents that had you know, addiction and alcohol issues too, and I could see it on her face. Like I wish I could describe it better, but she took the girls to school the next morning, or took them somewhere, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a school night. I don't know. She left somewhere with the girls. I remember texting her and telling her this isn't who I want to be, because it wasn't. I like all the times I felt like I was sick of it. I didn't want to do it anymore, and I still would do it. Like I woke up that morning knowing that it cannot go on like this, because all the times that I thought I had it under control, and you know, it slips up and it gets a little worse, but you're still okay. Like my future would have been, every night at some point would be just like that night, because that's how it progresses. I've seen it happen. I've watched it happen. I could feel it happening. And yeah, like I said, so I told her, I texted her and told her that's not who I want to be anymore. And you know, why the fuck would she believe it? Why would she believe that I wanted to change? Just like, why would I believe that my mom wanted to change? You know, why now? What's the difference now between all the other times before? I just started putting the work in. I was embarrassed. I did not want to tell anybody what I was doing until I knew I could do it. I did not think I would make it 90 days sober. And I think I didn't talk to my wife about it. I wouldn't talk to my mom about it. I wouldn't talk to my friends. I didn't talk to anybody about it. I just knew I'm trying to get my shit together, and I'm not going to tell anyone I'm doing this because I don't want to let them down. Like, and that's, if I slip up, that's all I'm going to do is let them down. So I think it was around about a month, maybe 2. I started talking to my wife about it a little bit. Told her I didn't really know how to explain what I was doing or how I was feeling or anything like that. I just knew that I wanted something different for myself, and I wrote her a letter. I kind of broke it all down, the history leading up to that point, just a lot of that stuff. And I don't know, I don't think I want to read it yet, but there'll be a day where I ask her to dig that up for me, because she saves everything like that, so I can read it and kind of reminisce on what I was thinking at the time. But I did it. I hit 90 days. I think I started talking about it when I hit like 50 days. I was pretty proud of 50 days, like halfway to 100, you know. And then I hit the point where I feel like I had it, you know. I think around the 90-day mark, like, okay, I think I got this, you know. I think I'm good now. Like, I think I'm gonna be okay. And what I was doing to deal with it, I didn't go to AA meetings or anything. I didn't go to rehab. I always said if I felt like I had to, if I felt like I was going to drink again, then I would, without hesitation, start going to meetings. But I found a podcast from an old freestyle motocross rider that I used to like, you know, and I liked his story. I liked, you know, the stories that he would share about getting his act together. And so I found a lot of comfort in that, especially when I was driving with such a long commute. I just felt like, you know, I could listen to someone's story at my own terms and make of it what I want. I didn't really agree with all of his message, but I agreed with a lot of it. And I remember just as I was feeling like, man, okay, I got this under control, like I'm gonna be okay, he came out and told everyone that he had been lying about his sobriety. And it was frustrating, you know, because I'd seen a couple of people like, oh man, I fucked up, I slipped up. And, you know, like people that I looked up to and like, okay, they're doing it, man, I can do it. Like, I saw a few people that you know, I kind of like followed on Instagram and listened to their stories and stuff like that. And they were all slipping up or saying that they were lying about their sobriety or saying this and saying that. And I'm like, what the fuck, man? Like, you know, is this like a normal thing? Because I know I don't want to go back, and I know I'm not going to bullshit people about what my side of the story is. But I kind of found my way, you know. I found what works for me. I found a couple really good friends that I've shared, you know, my story with. My wife knows a lot of my story. I mean, she knows all of it, you know. I'm open and honest with her about everything. One of my really good friends, he actually came by, brought me a donut to kind of celebrate my day today. Gave me a card, like super cool. His date will be tomorrow on getting clean, and it's kind of funny. His story before, or he was telling me, he's like, yeah, man, I remember when you were going to celebrate your 1 year, I was going to bring you a cake, and he said I went to rehab. So the next day his sobriety started. But I mean, I'm grateful for everyone that I have in my support system. I really, really am. I'm grateful for how far this has taken me, and that I've been able to pull through it. My wife kind of talks about it sometimes, like she downplays it and I upplay it, you know, like, oh, wasn't that bad, you know, like why don't you think you could go out and have a drink if you wanted to, you know? All right, hey, now that let's sidetrack for a little bit. Now that I'm getting ready to move, you guys want to go by, let's take a look at my old house, the first house I ever bought. Yeah, she kind of downplays it, like, why don't you think you could make it? I just tell it how it is, man. I mean, I'm living good now. I wouldn't have any of this motorcycle business stuff going on if I hadn't got sober. It's kept a lot of my time busy. It's been really good for me, and I don't ever see myself going back. If I ever go back, then I'm gonna have major issues. Oh, they refinished the driveway, man, that looks so good. They tore down the awning. I did that roof. Oh, the little light pole right there, dang, that looks super good. They put a fence in the backyard. I always wanted to do that so the dogs wouldn't go into the neighbor's house. Looks like they touched up the paint. They built that whole enclosure around the downstairs. That makes me happy that house looks that good. They did everything to that house. They're doing everything to that house that I ever wanted to do. So I don't even remember where I was at. About all the motorcycle, all the business and everything. I honestly would not have that if it wasn't for me getting my stuff together, you know. And I'm glad I did. I have no regrets. There's no comparison. The rewards I have from being sober to the rewards and the good times I would have from drinking, it's just not even close. There's so much better in my life that has came from me saying no, not caving into temptation. It's working out great. It's allowed me to change my way of thinking. When I was drunk, drinking all the time, I could so easily blame all of my problems on other people. Like, there was always an excuse, there was always a reason why something was happening, to me, and it wasn't my fault. And after getting sober, after quitting drinking, it's kind of made me realize, like, I am responsible for everything good and everything bad that happens in my life. And figuring that out has made staying positive so easy, so much easier, I should say. I feel like the power that I have overcoming what I wanted to stop doing so long ago, the power to be able to stop that can give me the power to make anything that I want to happen actually happen. Like, I don't know, I've been all big into like manifesting your own reality and if you can see it, you can believe it kind of stuff lately, and it works. I mean, I've got so much shit on my plate right now, trying to move, trying to buy a house, trying to come up with large amounts of money for down payments and stuff that I don't necessarily have, but I'm positive about it. I can see it happening. I know I can make it happen, and I guarantee that I will make it happen. There's not a doubt in my mind. So I mean, that's my story. Kind of a long one. I doubt that I'm really going to be editing any of that out. Like, keeping it pretty real, you know, keeping it 100. If you listen to that whole thing, then hey, thanks for listening. I hope, you know, I hope that my message, maybe somebody's sitting at home going through what I was going through. Maybe my message will be like that embarrassing moment for me where I thought, you know, I felt like they were talking to me, you know, like that message is directly at me. Like, I hope that can get through to somebody, but I'm not going to be the guy that goes preaching, oh, you need to quit drinking, oh, you need to get sober, because if you can drink normally, or you're fine with the way that you drink, hey man, I'm happy for you, whatever you want to do. But if you need some advice, not that I really even probably have good advice to give, but if you need a story, if you need an outlet like that, then I mean, by all means, man, I want to help you. There's resources for things, man. Like, free resources for things. There's sponsorships for rehab. AA is free. Like, if you need help, get help. It's there. You have to be ready to take that leap, man. You gotta do it. So that's my video. That's my story. I'm sure I'll edit this thing and be like, oh shit, I should have talked about that. But I mean, you guys got the most of it. I mean, that's pretty much it. Glenn, Papa, Dad, Anthony, I miss you guys more than you'll ever know. This world's not the same without those 4 guys, and I mean, love them and miss them till the day that I die. So I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.